Why do people not like dive coasters? Because when you look at these coasters on paper, these should be some of the best roller coasters at their parks. But for some reason, they're simply not. And we're going to be going over why exactly these coasters are so disliked among the coaster community. This is going to be interesting, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. So let's go over the basics of why people really don't like dive coasters. For one, they're kind of slow throughout the layout. The pacing really isn't good, and it feels like after the first element, they just crawl through the layout, not doing a whole lot. Also, dive coasters are pretty much one-trick ponies. You have the really big, cool, steep drop, and then the coaster kind of just does nothing. I mean, sure, you slowly crawl through a few inversions, but it's just not as exciting as the climax of the ride. Now, that is totally normal. The drop is normally the best part of the ride. But I think the main problem with dive coasters is that the drop is good, but then the rest of the ride just doesn't compare. I also think another reason why people don't really like dive coasters is because how short these layouts are. Yes, normally these have pretty long track lengths, like 3-ish, 4,000 feet of track, but so much of that space is kind of wasted just meandering around. It doesn't feel like the amount of track is being used super well. And I think to kind of make matters worse, dive coasters are very, very popular. Like take Valraven at Cedar Point for example. It's almost impossible without Fastlane or rope dropping Valraven to ride this coaster with under an hour wait. I mean, unless it's like raining and cold outside and there's no one at the park, it's going to be very, very difficult to get on Valraven without much of a wait. Your average theme park guests absolutely love dive coasters. Think they're big, scary, and they look super cool, and then you ride them, you get to brag to your friends about it. It was fun and scary and not super intense, so they immediately want to ride this coaster again. I think the main issue with why these coasters are not considered good rides in general is because we need to look at the purpose of these coasters. Because the purpose and reason these coasters were built were not to be the best coasters at their parks. No, these coasters, these dive coasters, are built for a completely different reason. What is that reason, you might ask? Well, to put it simply, it's to get people out of the lines for the better attractions. Let me explain. So you walk up to a dive coaster and the big drop immediately catches your eye and you're like, oh, that looks fun. So you go and wait an hour for it and you ride the coaster and you enjoyed it. Well, you did that, so a lot of other people likely did too. And that's a lot of people that can add up over any given day that are not in line for the really popular attraction. And obviously there's some other reasons these coasters are built. You can break a lot of records, which Cedar Point really likes to do. These are also super marketable attractions. Again, that like eye-catching factor. Like if you see this in like an ad or whatever, that like super tall 90-degree drop, you are definitely going to want to ride this coaster. No doubt about it. And I think these coasters, to the average theme park guest, not someone who's like ridden a ton of roller coasters and know everything about them, these coasters immediately look the most fun, most exciting, and a lot of times people will be willing to choose this coaster over objectively better coasters. I have heard from multiple people that they think Valraven at Cedar Point is the best coaster there. Now, I would disagree with that statement. I obviously think that Steel Vengeance and Maverick are much, much, much better ride. And of course, everyone can have their own opinion on that. And there's nothing wrong with liking dive coasters. And to be honest, I don't think that dive coasters are that bad whatsoever. They serve a purpose. And when you go in telling your expectations, knowing the reason these coasters are built, you can really enjoy them for what they are. I think one thing that a lot of people do not do is tailor their expectations correctly. Not every coaster can be Steel Vengeance or even like Millennium Force and be the best coaster at the park or whatever. You gotta think about what coaster you're riding and what they're trying to accomplish. Take a family coaster such as King Zion Snoopy's Soapbox Racers. Does it compare it to a Steel Vengeance or Maverick? Absolutely not. But when you tailor your expectations and know that this is a family coaster geared specifically towards kids, when you go to ride it, yes, was it short, yes, was it not the most exciting ride, but when you think about it as a family coaster and just a family coaster, it's honestly a pretty fun ride. You just have to take into account what this coaster was built for, and that was being a fun little coaster that everyone in the family can ride. The purpose was not to be some crazy thrill machine. And I honestly think that if you tailor your expectations correctly and know what coaster you're riding and why it's built, you can enjoy pretty much anything. Take a B&M Invert. Is it going to be the best coaster at the park? Probably not. Was it there to provide a good thrill, a different thrill from all the other coasters present, be a nice supporting cast coaster? Absolutely. That's what they're built for. So if you take a second to kind of think about that and know and make your expectations based on that, you're going to have a lot of fun. I think another thing that we might all need to start doing a better job of is not expecting every coaster to be super intense or have crazy airtime or anything, because most coasters really don't. And I feel like if we're able to enjoy each coaster at the park for what it is, you can honestly have a super fun day riding everything. You don't only have to ride the biggest and best coasters at each park. Whenever I visit a new park, no matter how tempting it is, I try to ride pretty much everything at the park to get an experience for what the park truly is, and experience everything the park has to offer. When I visited Kings Dominion, it was super tempting to just run to Twisted Timbers 9, 3, or 5. And at first we did, but we had time, we had the rest of the day or whatever, and we went and rode pretty much everything in the park. We got to experience the park for what it truly is, not just 2 coasters of it. And it was honestly amazing, and I really, really like Kings Dominion. I think part of that is because we got to experience everything the park had to offer, even if Grizzly was such a disappointment. Hold on, side note real quick, Grizzly's first half is amazing, but then the second half becomes rough and janky, and I wanted to like that coaster so bad, but the ending was so rough and just uncomfortable, it really is hard. And no, it's still okay to have coasters that don't meet your expectations. If you go into a coaster feeling really excited and really hyped up to ride it, and it sometimes happens, but it doesn't live up to your expectations, that's still fine, because again, not every coaster can be the best coaster at the park. And having #1 coasters and just really good roller coasters at your park, like a headlining attraction, is definitely still a good thing. But I think we shouldn't always define theme parks by their #1 attraction, but more of how the park is as a whole. How is the park atmosphere? How are the supporting casts, supporting coasters? How are the flat rides? How's the water park? How's the family coasters and Kiddieland? How you should subscribe so we can hit 1,000 subscribers, please. But I think in general, the best experience, the highlight experience, defines what we look back on. If I visit Cedar Point, I'm mainly remembering my rides on Steel Vengeance and Maverick. But what made me remember Cedar Point so positively? It was the cohesive experience. So let's get back to dive coasters for a second. So let's say you go to take a ride on Griffin at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And it's a dive coaster, so you tailor your expectations to be, oh, this coaster is going to be pretty fun. Is it going to be the best? No, but is it still going to be a fun, enjoyable ride with a really cool first drop? Absolutely. So you ride it, and you enjoy it for what it is. And was it your favorite ride? Absolutely not. Do you need a ride again? No. But did you get to experience something new and exciting? And since you knew what you were getting yourself into and had your expectations set correctly, you still enjoyed the ride and weren't disappointed. That's how I feel like we can enjoy dive coasters and other coasters similar to them much, much more. So next time you're riding a dive coaster, just remember, set your expectations correctly and you'll have a whole lot more fun. So this video was kind of a new format I kind of wanted to test out. This was kind of more like a commentary story, just kind of me sharing my thoughts type of video. So let me know if you guys enjoyed it by dropping a like down below and subscribing for more coaster content coming your way if you enjoyed the video. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, hope you have a great rest of your day, and go out and enjoy a dive coaster.